710 ESPN, ESPNLA.com. It's Lakers Friday Night Live. Brian Kamenetzky, Andy Kamenetzky, co-host of the Land of Lakers blog at ESPNLA. Joined by the guy you just saw over there. If you missed that interview, well, you're lucky because now we got him over here.
Talk about real stuff here.
That's right.
Exactly. Get down low.
Three-time NBA champion with the Lakers, a guy that had such a good career. Even the characters he played on TV put up 55 points.
There you go, yeah. Only in prison.
Rick, well, you know, 55 is 55.
You probably would have put up 85 in Oz.
Right. Rick Fox joining us right now. Thanks to Rick for coming by. You know, we're getting excited. I know people are looking at tonight's game against the Kings, but they also got Sunday against the Heat. It's that sort of trade deadline-y part of time. So what do you think this team needs going forward to make themselves a contender?
Well, I would start with the positive first. They need to remain consistent with the defense and the rebound that they proven that they're capable of doing, which to me has always led to championship basketball at the end of the day. There's been a lot of, obviously, aging in the backcourt over the last few years. Success has come with that aging. You know, we won championships at the same time under the leadership of Kobe and Derek. This is definitely, though, this is a young man's league, and especially in the backcourt. So there's been, I know, a lot of discussion about some of the potential free agents in the future that could be coming down the pipe that everyone's looking to grab. But we're going to need to get younger there. We're going to need to hopefully find somebody in this new system, which is not the triangle, where you can freely mask and have big men up at the top of the key versus, you know, you don't have an executing point guard in that sense. We're going to be looking, I'm sure, and maybe find, I don't know if it's in the next week or not, but at some point in the near future, somebody to shore up the backcourt.
Do you think that they need to make a move, though, before this deadline in order to make a deep playoff run?
I don't think that is the case. I wouldn't be adverse to it. I just don't think it's all a matter of what you're giving away and what you're giving up to get and what you're getting. Not very many teams are giving up all-star point guards in the middle of the season right now.
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
They could use one.
We could really use one, but that's not the case. And to get an all-star point guard, what are you giving away in return? Could be very disruptive to what I feel is starting to happen right now is some cohesiveness and some consistency and a little more confidence. And you know, Coach Brown has been talking all year about, you know, not having the practice time and players adjusting to his system, and he's doing it through film work and he's doing it on the fly. Maybe we need to be a little forgiving for that, in the sense that there's a lot of truth in that. Everyone's dealing with that. So to think that with 30 games left, if they could start to play the way he is hoping they would play from the start, then we may have not seen the best of this team yet. And they're pretty good, you know, right now as it is.
How hard is it to improve? Because you went through this in '99, you know, with the last time that there was a strike shortened season, and you're playing game after game after game. As a player, what are these guys experiencing right now at this point of the year?
Ketchup. It just feels like ketchup. At every turn, you feel underwater. You feel slow. You feel sluggish. Mentally, your timetable for where you should be at this point in the season doesn't feel right. It's the asterisk season. You know, it has an asterisk on it for a reason, and that it's the normal rhythms aren't happening. Even the All-Star game a week later, you know, everything just feels off. So I think just putting those things out of your mind to treat a game as a game and not get caught up in the fact that you have 4 in one day or 3 back to back, like things that, you know, I can recall.
It does
Robert
seem like
Parrish
they
telling me they used to do that all the time. You know,
well, we don't anymore, man.
Yeah, we don't anymore. So that's the adjustment to it, and I think we'll see it personally. I think we'll start to see the effects of it more in about a month when the demands of what has been a 66-game season and a shortened, stacked amount of time, you're going to see more injuries. You'll see more injuries, and it's going to affect some of these teams.
And piggybacking on to what Brian had asked, your first season of the three-peat years, you guys had to learn the triangle basically on the fly over the course of a season, and Mike Brown is having the team implement a new system, and they're learning it on the fly with even less time. How difficult a process is that for a player to have kind of these dress rehearsals during games?
Well, it was terrible on Dancing with the Stars for me, so I hated that. But when you think about the triangle and you hear about how hard and difficult it was to learn that system. You needed a full year, in some cases a year and a half, before you fully grasp it. I haven't played in Coach Brown's system, so I'm not sure there's some elements of the triangle I see when I watch, but without a training camp, oh my gosh, it's got to be a nightmare for a coaching staff to be teaching on the fly and giving teams rest and giving their players rest and dealing with all of that. It's not anything I would wish on any coaching staff. I remember the lockout season. We had Del Harris, and in the middle of it, we shifted to Kurt Rambis. So I know how disruptive that was. So it's not your ideal situation.
Yeah. Talking to Rick Fox, 3-time NBA champion with the Lakers. Be signing autographs here in just a moment.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Audience.
How hard is it? Because you were part of a team that stayed together for a long time, was very successful. How hard is it to maintain a level of success with that same basic core over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years?
It's hard, first of all, to stay healthy when you look at playing into June for 4 and 5 years in a row. Secondly, we spent a ton of time together, and in family settings, in family you can't lose your family. You stay, your family's family, but in basketball settings, we call ourselves a family, right. But sometimes we don't treat each other like family. So you tire of each other. So it's only so many different ways. Also, a coach can deliver a message, and a player hear it new and afresh. So that's what gets difficult. And then when in success, you go away, and each summer you get patted on the back individually, and you're told how great you are. You come back, you have your own individual plans of what you want to accomplish this coming season. So it's just keeping all those individual agendas aligned, and having the team agenda be the most important thing is difficult to do after you start winning championships. Every team succumbs to that at some point. We were able to get 3 in a row before we did. I think we succumbed to injuries before we did that, but at times, we were tearing ourselves down from the inside, and we'd still survive at times.
Yeah, I heard 2 players didn't get along in particular. It's my understanding.
Brian Shaw and Robert Horry, right. Those 2 guys.
They tore the Lakers apart.
Tore the Lakers apart.
I got one more question for you when looking at Sunday's game, because it's a tough game, it's a physical game. Matt Barnes during the week kind of came to the defense of Kobe Bryant, the All-Star game foul, and the Brendan Haywood foul.
It takes your sneak attack approach out of the game. When you talk about it.
But what does that do for a team? When you're in the locker room and you hear a guy say that we're going to go protect our stars, this is kind of a role that you were in terms of being that supporting group who had to protect the stars. What does it do for the locker room generally? Why would a guy say those things and ruin the sneak attack, like you say?
Obviously, I'm sure they have a relationship as teammates, but maybe a deeper relationship as friends that I don't know of. But yeah, you attack. If anyone attacked, it affected me. Kobe gets. I'm not even on a team anymore. But I have 8 years of a lot of time spent with him, and he's a friend, and I care about him. So care about his health first and foremost, and then when I think about the edge that an opponent may go away with and think that they may have gained by being physical in that way, you take notice to it, but everything is through action. I don't like talk. Talk. Don't talk about it. Just because now what's going to happen is what happens if the Miami Heat show up on Sunday and they hit first again.
Right.
Well, it takes away the.
And they always get the second guy. They never get the first guy.
And the second guy is retaliating.
Right.
And speaking of action, Matt offered himself up and also Meta World Peace as the enforcers on the team that may be the ones doing something to protect guys. You played that enforcer role with the three-peat crew. What is that role all about, and how do you, adopt that mentality?
How many people did you beat up, Rick Fox?
Thank you for the subtext. I was wondering where you were going with that. You know what? I am the least thuggish person you would run into in L.A., let alone anywhere.
I actually think I'm the least thuggish person you run into, but go ahead.
But what I am was, and I will always probably be, is a very physical basketball player. That I wasn't afraid of contact. I wasn't afraid of hitting first. I kind of led with that. So in becoming what was dubbed the enforcer for our team, it was quite frankly out of a necessity. For us to be a more physical team. And I had played on the East Coast for 6 years, so to me, you didn't step on the basketball court and not hit somebody. Like Xavier McDaniel hit me in practice every day. So that was how you said good morning. You a forearm to the chest, a shiver in the back. Like that was just a call to your opponent. So I always led with that, and maybe throughout the course of practice, me being physical led to many times, my teammates getting the experience of, this is what it means to be physical. And so stepping out into a game, I believed you hit first. You set the tone first, regardless of what that tone is going to be. You set it first. And for me, I just always felt like the team needed to know that you were going to be there at every trip up the court. They were going to have to deal with you in a physical fashion.
Were there ever times when maybe you just weren't up for it in a particular game and something happens on the court, you're like, oh, man.
No, because what I always knew is that I knew I was willing to go a step further than they were.
Okay.
I was always going to be willing to be physical for 48 minutes, not just the first 5 minutes of the game. And so if you hit me, that was always a smile for me. It was like, great, thank you.
The door's open.
You really just open the door for 48 minutes of every time you walk down the court, and especially when you're not looking, your lower back is going to feel like someone took a bat to it. Your chest is, so that's just, I was willing to take that abuse, so I knew I was willing to give it up.
But just as a reminder, nicest guy you'll ever meet.
That's between the lines.
A teddy bear.
Just between the lines, Just on the
you see him on the street, he's not going to put a forearm into your back.
Exactly,
Rick will not do that to you.
I would more help you across the street and carry your bag.
Unless you're Xavier McDaniel.
Exactly.
All right, Rick Fox, 3-time champion with the Lakers. Thanks so much for coming by.
Guys.
You're right over here signing. We really appreciate it.
Definitely, man. Thanks.
Thanks, man. Thanks, appreciate it.